Remember how we say, a lot of like progressives, we say that Republicans just vote against their own interests, and the GOP senators don't. The GOP, like senators and House members and legislative lawmaking Republicans, don't actually care about them or their suffering, their pain, their what they need. Even though a lot of Republicans are one of the most at risk people in this country, you know, like East Kentucky people are some of the poorest people in the world. Like people down in Mississippi, they have worse poverty than people in Haiti. You know, they actually are getting like E. coli down in Mississippi because they're drinking their own like shit water because they don't have like actual plumbing. Like these are the people who are the reddest people in the country and who always, without we say, vote against their own interests. Now we have some real evidence to show, besides everything else. Okay, now we have even more evidence to show that the GOP really don't care about them. All right, as 40% of Americans are now at risk of being evicted in this country. 30% last month, 30% of Americans didn't have enough money to eat as they normally do. 11% unemployment. Republicans couldn't care less. And here's the proof, because they actually said it themselves. A little earlier this week, Mitch McConnell said that 15 to 20 GOP senators will not be voting for any deal whatsoever to help get people the help that they need during this time of like absolute crisis in this country. I think there are 15 to 20 of my guys that are not going to be voting, that are not going to vote for anything. In a statement of the obvious that we will not have everybody on our side, McConnell told WHAS. I know about WHAS. I live in Kentucky, so I keep up with a lot of this. The negotiations are going to be tough, he added, and at the moment, there's not much movement. On the radio station, he said that the two sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, are light years apart, and even when in the Republican Party and the people who don't want it, they're light years apart. And they're so far away from getting any sort of deal done, as millions of Americans are now struggling to eat and put food on the table. All right? And to spark a lot of the and to show a lot of the like divisions that they have, that Josh Hawley from Missouri called the whole bill a mess, and Ben Sasse from Nebraska said it was pushed by two big government Democrats. All right. McConnell says their argument is not irrational. They now like care about the deficit. They care about the debt now. Now all of a sudden, once they feel like they can get away with it, they feel like they're not going to be doing anything at all. And they ought to think, and they don't think that we should pass another bill. And McConnell's saying he doesn't agree with it. I think everybody has to make their best call here. McConnell doesn't even care for whipping his party to get them in line to make sure that they vote for what people need. This isn't like a point of negotiation. People are literally starving out there. Like actually starving. I'll get to that in just 1 second. People are suffering right now, all right? And they're starting to say that they care about the deficit, they care about the debt, they care about all of these things when up to 60% of voters, and the 40% number that I gave, that's just voters like in general across the country. In some of these Republican states, up to 60% of constituents, of renters in this country, in their state, are at risk of being kicked out of their homes in August, at risk of being evicted. And they're going on about how, and like recently, the $600 bonus that we're giving people room to stay home, which is good. We don't want people going out to work. All right. We want to pay people to stay home so we can make sure that we get this virus under control. They don't care about that at all. They're saying that like paying people to stay home is cringe now, and not taking into consideration any of the problems that we'll run into when people start dropping dead or getting sick in the middle of work. When these businesses don't even when these businesses aren't taking the best precautions to making sure people can. I don't even understand. A lot of these businesses can't even run at full capacity with keeping their workers safe, and they're trying to push them out. They're trying to push them out anyways. Push them out of keeping their family safe. Push them out of keeping the curve as low as possible by trying to push them back out into the workforce. This is ridiculous. Okay. And even Trump, who can't wait, he just can't wait with things being as bad as they are, with Trump with Trump's reelection looking as dismal as it is right now. He can't wait for the Republicans to do anything. He's now leaping over even Mitch McConnell saying that he was going to even try and strike a deal with the Democrats over Mitch McConnell's head without Mitch McConnell's like line in the sand liability shield that he wants to put up for corporations to make it so that he's going to force people out of their homes into the workforce and then make it so that people can't sue corporations for not taking care of them and not making sure that they don't get and not making sure that they take care of their personal safety by forcing them to work at full capacity, forcing them to work without adequate personal protective gear, and putting themselves and their family and the customers at risk. They're trying to make sure that they won't be able to sue people for that. That's the Republicans for you. And as the people in their state suffer, they're talking about how big government is bad, my deficit, out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere. It's ridiculous. And the funniest part is that all of this would be part and parcel for if they were talking about the Democratic bill. But they're not even talking about that. The bill that all of these criticisms from the Republican Senate, from those 15 to 20 Republican senators, from all of those people, they aren't even about the Democratic bill. That's about the Republican bill that Mitch McConnell put over. They're saying this about the bill from their own caucus. Can you even imagine what they're going to say about the Democratic bill, who wanted to do the eviction moratorium and all those things that people actually need to stay safe? This is what we're left with. This is why people say that the Republican Party is far right and they don't care about the people, because they don't. Now, as soon as people need it, this is one of the most difficult times when it comes to this coronavirus pandemic that we're going to see, with these many people at risk of going hungry, not being able to pay their bills, maybe being kicked out of the country. Now is when the Republicans say that they've had enough of passing bills to help people, and they're going to sit on their ass and make sure that nothing gets done while the people of America suffer.